Are any of you bilingual or multilingual? Well, I hope some of you are because I was intending to ask you a question. Have you ever noticed any differences in your personality when the language you speak changes? Well, I have. I was born a different nationality than I am and had been to international school by the age of 4. So by the age of 4 I had been using 3 languages actively. And not only did I notice differences in my personality, but I also noticed differences in people around me. So for example, when some people asked me the same question, but just in different languages, I answered differently. Or my mom and dad, like the things they would get angry to or happy to would change. Or even now, I do notice some differences in my foreign language teachers. So I wondered if this was actually precise, or was I just making these kind of things up? So first I looked and searched for studies scientists have already done. For example, Genesix and Bonamate's research done in 2010. Their research name was Two Languages, Two Personalities, and they searched languages' effects on expression by the help of Chinese and English bilinguals. So their research resulted as a difference of personality in language is connected to the language's culture. So like this, many researchers thus clarify that language does affect personality. But still there are lots of controversies if language actually does affect personality or not. So consequently, I decided to do my own study, my own field research. So my field research works like this. I have made a personality test in several languages consisting of 3 personality traits I am looking for. I have asked each person to answer at least 2 versions of a test and compare the scores. So I looked and asked for bilingual and multilingual people in Ankara and see if they show any difference in their personality traits. So the 3 personality traits I will be talking about are openness, conscientiousness, and extroversion. So starting with openness, just in case you don't know what openness is, the openness personality trait explains open-mindedness. Like if you're intellectually more curious, more imaginative, if you're open to new things, changes, opportunities more, you happen to be an open person. So on to my research. In my research, 78% of people have shown difference in their openness personality traits, while the 22% haven't. So out of the 78% of people, the arithmetic average of overall changes people have are 11%, with the highest score being 25% of change and the lowest score being 4% of change. So even though we're not talking about big results right now, so even though the highest change is a quarter, that means we can still see a quarter of change in a person's personality. So on to conscientiousness. The conscientiousness, people who score higher in conscientiousness traits are more likely to be circumspect and diligent. They like to work with a clear plan and are very organized. So, in my research, 90% of people have shown difference in their conscientiousness personality traits, while the 10% haven't. So, out of the 90% of people, the arithmetic average this time of overall changes are 20%, which makes it almost 2 times of openness personality traits, with the highest score being 30% of change and the lowest score being 7% of change. So, this is very interesting. So, because it's more of subjective. Think about it like this. A person is an ideal team player in one language and isn't a very ideal team player in another language. Well, that would be very interesting. So, lastly, extroversion. The extroversion personality traits characteristics are outgoing and social. It generally explains extroverts. So, in my research, 70% of people have shown difference in their extroversion personality traits, while the 10% haven't. So out of the 70% of people, the arithmetic average this time is approximately 15% of change, with the highest score being 25% and the lowest score being 8% of change. So if I have to put them in sequence to most changes to least changes, I would put them as conscientiousness, extroversion, and openness. So my research clarifies that language does affect personality. In fact, not in any small amounts. But it just depends on which personality trait it's changing. Do you still think you have personality changes when the language you speak changes? Well, thank you for listening to me.